on, people? LP2000, I'm back at you with another video. Yes. Welcome back to Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews on behalf of Summit Kaiju and on behalf of Collector Monsters. Oh my God, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've had a chance to sit down and chat and talk and all that good stuff. You know, aside from the Monsterverse live stream I did a few weeks ago, man, I just started thinking about this the other day, right? I have not put out a video for like a review since the 1984 X Plus Yuji Sakai figure. And that was what? That was what, like late February going to March? And here it is, almost the middle of April. I know I've been slacking, ladies and gentlemen. I know everybody's concerned with what's going on with the world, with the pandemic and all that good stuff. But my mind's been preoccupied with that, unfortunately. So I haven't had a chance to make any videos. Trust me, I got plenty of stuff to do. I got plenty of projects that I got to get my hands on, or get up and rolling, I should say, aside from my Collector Monsters duties. But yeah, I'm going to get refocused and get back to these reviews, you know, to try to provide some type of entertainment, hopefully to take your mind off of things, what's going on in the world. Don't want to go a lot into that because we're all pretty much aware of what's going on. But I will say that we will get through this together. Yes, we will. It's only a matter of time. It sucks. I get that. But I think through it all, at the end of the day, we're going to be all right. We just have to buckle down and do what we need to do to ensure the health of ourselves and our fellow man and all that good stuff. But we will get through this together. It's kind of ironic that I'm going to put out that type of feel-good message. And I'm going to go in what I'm going to talk about today, because you already clicked the title. You already know what I'm talking about. So yes, let's dive head first and do this review. And yes, we're talking about this guy. Yes. The X Plus Deforeal Standard Edition of the 1998 Godzilla, based off his appearance in the famous or infamous, depending on who you talk to, Godzilla film. Godzilla 1998 from Sony TriStar. You already know what I'm talking about. And this is the figure. This is a nice figure. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just put this out there right now. This is a great figure. Despite how you feel about the design, despite how you feel about the film, let me just tell you that this is a great figure to have. A great figure to acquire in your collection. So you know, do things right here. Let's get into the box before we get into the figure. Unfortunately, I don't have the box anymore. I trashed it a long time ago. But here's a picture of the box, you know, with the window display of the figure inside, you know, the clear window display. I think it had like, it was a blue, navy blue box with the Japanese title, Godzilla 1998, in Japanese text, excuse me, as well as the great logo, you know, the green logo with Godzilla's name on it. That when you see that logo, you know exactly what Godzilla that they're talking about. It was a nice box, but once again, I had to trash it. Come get to the point once again, as I mentioned many times before in my videos, that the more figures you accumulate, I mean, trust me, I love keeping the boxes, I really do, but it's getting to the point now where I need to trash some of them just to make room for other figures. And there's still more figures coming, you know, as a matter of fact, so I figure it's better to have room for a figure than room for a box. But yeah, it was a nice package on the box or whatever, but once again, it was, you know, not really needed in my situation. But this is the figure. Such a great figure. Now, the backstory of this figure is this. It kind of came out of nowhere. It was first announced, I want to say, at the November Super Festival show in 2018. So, which was kind of really timely at the time, because, you know, in 2018, can you believe it? This film celebrated its 20th anniversary. It celebrated its 20th anniversary at that time. It's going on 22 years now. But when it was announced, which was kind of timely, like I said, it was celebrating its 20th anniversary. So X Plus decided to bring forth a Deforeal version of the 1998 Godzilla. And it was showcased, like I said, at the November Super Festival show alongside the gigantic Godzilla 1989, the 30cm Ebra, the Favorite Sculptors Line 64. They will all come out later on at, you know, at another point. And this was a surprise showcase at the show, or a surprise debut at the show. It was an unpainted prototype sculpt of this figure. And when I saw it, I was like, that's very interesting. Because truth be told, like I said, this film may not be up there with a lot of folks, me included, or the design, you know what I'm saying? But even I was tempted to, you know, to try and get it. At the point when I first saw it for the first time, I wasn't really sold on getting it. But this photograph, this promotional photograph of the figure when it came up for pre-order pushed me over the edge and say, you know what, I'm going to go after this figure. And that's one thing I've always said. Unless you straight up hate a film or hate a particular kaiju incarnation or whatever, then I feel like, you know what, if you don't totally hate it, then you might be missing out on some great figures. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to pass on a particular kaiju, like I said, unless you straight up hate the film or hate the kaiju. And truth be told, even though it's not one of my favorite Godzilla designs and or movie, I don't hate the film and I don't hate the design. You know what I'm saying? I've always said that I'm more of critical of the film's execution of the character versus the effort. You know what I'm saying? But still, at the end of the day, it's not like a total loss. It's not like bad. Like, to me, to me, the worst Godzilla adaptation or incarnation, in my opinion, is the anime. Like, for example, they made a Deforeal anime Godzilla. They made a third anime Godzilla. And to this day, I've not gotten either one of them. But this one I was willing to get in my collection. And it really is a nice piece. Of course, this is the standard. The standard comes with just Godzilla himself. The Rick came with a little hatchling, an egg hatchling with one of Godzilla's babies. Oh, I'm trying not to be depressed. All right, we're gonna maintain positivity here. Well, anyways, the Rick boy came with a Rick piece, the Rick extra piece, which was a nice piece. I have to admit, you know, it was a nice Rick extra piece. It wasn't really a light up on the figure itself, but a nice little extra piece was a Godzilla hatchling with one of the Godzilla baby's heads popping out of the egg, and it came on a little small base. It had like a small little tuna fish on the base, which tuna fish did have a good role in the film. It was a nice piece, but at the same time, I was just more interested in getting Godzilla himself, which is why I wasn't really feeling or really interested in getting the Rick. If you got the Rick, then hey, you got a good piece. But I was just more than happy to get Godzilla himself. And once again, such a great piece. And this review is kind of timely because this it's the middle of April 2020. This figure actually was released a year ago, mid-April 2019. Sorry it took me so long to get to this review, but a lot of stuff has happened since then. But I think, you know what? I need to do a review on this guy. I really do. And you know what? I know it's customary when it comes to talk involving this film and or this design, it kind of get towards the negative area. But actually, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm actually going to talk about some things I actually do love about the film and some things that came about that was positive from this film's existence. That's going to be the commentary portion of this video. Before we get to that, let's go into this figure review with the figure itself. Such a great figure. And basically, this is just a giant lizard. That's what basically the 98 Godzilla was. He was just a giant lizard. And it's kind of funny. If you were to ask a casual fan, not a fan that really knows about Godzilla like us hardcore fans do, right? But if you just ask just an average person, and of course a good majority of the world knows who Godzilla is and knows what he is, but for those who may not be in the know, you know, with the films and the other kaiju and stuff like that, I bet you if you were to ask them, what is Godzilla? Like, what is this thing called Godzilla? And I'm sure a lot of folks would say, oh, that big lizard thing that attacked Tokyo. And it's ironic, in the first American adaptation of the character, that's basically what they went with far as like this design. It's just basically a giant iguana, a giant lizard. That's what it is. And as far as like the sculpt of a giant lizard, they done a great job with this release of the Deforeal. You know what I'm saying? I also believe, you know what? I also believe that this is like testing the waters to see, you know, if there's enough interest, excuse me, in the Deforeal, then there could be some interest in like in the 25 centimeter version or a 30 centimeter version or a Favorite Sculptor's Line version. Maybe a gigantic. Quite frankly, I probably would go after every single one of them. You know what I'm saying? Just to have a representation, because trust me, this is stunning. This is a great piece, especially since it's a CGI character. But they've done great CGI characters S+ wise and great figures before, you know, with this one. But with Shin Godzilla, who else? Oh, the legendary Godzilla, the MonsterVerse stuff, you know, Kong, King Ghidorah, Rodan, and the upcoming Mothra. So S+ has done a great job with CGI characters just as well as the practical effects kaiju, you know, the rubber suited ones. But they have done a phenomenal job with this release. The paint job is awesome. You know, you have like, you know, dark grays and kind of like a dark brown and somewhat of an army green, light green that's highlighted all over the figure itself. Also, if you have small children, if you're a collector that has small children, please don't have this in their possession. Because as you can see here, with the intricate details on the sculpt here, like the sculpt on the skin is awesome. It's very rigid, it's very sharp, especially its dorsal plates. This really is like not the perfect figure to just grab, you know what I'm saying? Because you may do some injury to yourself. Even as I'm holding it right now in my hand for a long period of time, it's just so pointy and sharp and jagged that it leaves grooves in your hand. That's how sharp this thing is. So if you have little children, of all the figures to have in your collection, well, actually, you know, you really shouldn't have small children around these high-price commodities anyway. But trust me, when it comes to these pieces, please keep this away from children. It's going to hurt them, trust me. But once again, this is such a great piece. Now, the main selling point of the Deforeals that I mentioned many times before in my videos is the head sculpts. And quite frankly, I think when it comes to a particular kaiju where they do have a big head, it kind of pops out more in the Deforeal. This comes to mind. The Deforeal 84 comes to mind. Remember that Godzilla design has somewhat of a big head. You know what I'm saying? But so they're able to do more right by the head sculpt, in my opinion, because of the head being so big on the actual kaiju itself. And they're able to apply that to this Deforeal. And as you can see, they've done a great job with the head sculpt. You know what I'm saying? With the teeth individually sculpted, the tongue and mouth interior. The mouth is colored really well. You know, with the Jay Leno chin just jutting out there. Yes, it's also a trademark of this Godzilla, the Jay Leno chin. The eyes are colored really well. Just the overall pose is awesome. It really is awesome. Like, he's twisting, you know what I'm saying? He's just an awesome, deformed, if you will, but a real highly detailed figure or representation of the 98 Godzilla. You have the dorsal plates that have like somewhat of a midnight, kind of subtle translucent. I won't say, translucent is like a bad word to say. I would say, or the accurate word to say, I should say. The dorsal plates have like a little shine to them. It's not translucent where light can pass through it, mind you, but it does have a little shininess on, on the dorsal plates. Like I said, with the midnight blue on the colors of the dorsal plates, it looks really awesome. The tail is curved really well, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, it's trying to wrap itself around Godzilla, then go outwards. The sack underneath Godzilla's throat here is awesome. The toenails, the claws, everything about this figure, even though it's a deformed one, it really is a nice piece. It really is. Because once again, at first, I was not really too sold on getting it when I first saw it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. There's not much to this review, you know what I'm saying? Because it really speaks for itself. The detail really speaks for itself. And this really is a nice piece, you know what I'm saying? Especially involving a film, like I said, it's not too high up there with a lot of folks, me included. But I'm glad I have a representation of the 98 Godzilla in my collection. And this is the form. This deformed version is a nice piece. And once again, I hope it opens the door for other 98 Godzillas to come down the pipeline, whether it's a 25, 30, or maybe a gigantic, you know, whatever. As long as they apply this amount of awesome, incredible detail into future releases, I'm on board with other 98 Godzilla. So that's pretty much it up close and personal with this guy. It's amazing. It's awesome. Once again, I'm sorry it took me a year to get to this guy. But, you know, I've had it in my collection since then, and now that I'm just giving it more focus now, I really am happy that I got this figure. I really am. It's such a nice piece. I think they're out there on the internet, you know what I'm saying? You may have to hunt down for them, whether it's on eBay, Monterake, you know, whatever. Don't pay too much for it. But for the value, like I said, for 100, 150 bucks at the most, maybe, this is a nice piece to have, especially if you're a completionist or if you're into just super cool looking kaiju. And trust me, even though the film, like I said, is not popular, this really is a cool looking kaiju. And S Plus has done a phenomenal job of recreating this in Deforeal form. So before I go to my final thoughts of this video, and once again, I'm going to talk about the positives about this film and some things that came about it was positive. Let's do a few size comparisons. So you know what? Let's go with the first size comparison. I'm going to bring up all the other Deforeals I have in my collection. And then I'll bring up another size comparison after that. So let's go with the first size comparison with all my Deforeals in my collection right now. Okay, folks, this is the first size comparison. And yes, these are all the Deforeal X Plus figures I have in my collection. If you would have told me when this line was first introduced that at some point I would have more than one, I probably would not have believed you. But ever since I got my first one, which was the fourth form of the Shin Godzilla, Deforeal. I was like, these figures really are good, because you already know me. I'm into the bigger stuff, the 30s, especially the Gigantics. But I never thought I would see myself into this line. This really is a fun line to have, or at least fun figures to collect from. You see what I'm saying? And at the time of recording, as you can see here in this awesome shot, I have 12, and trust me, there's more to come. So let's go down the roster, shall we? Of course, the man down at the man of the hour down at the bottom in the middle, of course, the 98 Godzilla, Deforeal. Of course, to his left, you have the 1964 Standard Edition Deforeal. To the 64's right, you have the Godzilla Store exclusive 1954 Deforeal. Behind the 64, of course, the Golden Monsterverse Dragon. Yes, yes, King Ghidorah. Awesome figure, despite, you know, the figure does have some controversy surrounding it. Behind him, the Red Demon himself from the Heisei period, Destroyer. Right there, hiding in the back to Destroyer's left or right or whatever. You have the GMK Standard Edition, Godzilla Deforeal. Of course, the Wing Fire Demon in the middle, the Monsterverse Rodan. Of course, to the right, trying to blow his fire up in the air, trying to call out King Ghidorah, the 2019 Godzilla. Down further from him is of course, the Standard Edition of the Deforeal Kong from Skull Island. Over there off to the right of the 2019 Godzilla, you have the 1962 King Goji. And finally, down here at the foreground on the far right-hand side in the corner, you have the Rick exclusive Technicolor version set of the Godzilla Raise Again crew with the 1955 Godzilla and the Anger's 1955. And as you can see, they look so well together. Once again, the head sculpts are the selling pieces from these pieces. You know what I'm saying? They're like really the main selling draw, the main draw of these pieces, and they have done a phenomenal job with every single one of them. And I'm not done yet. I still have a few on pre-order that are still coming. Hopefully they'll come real soon, despite the circumstances. I think the next two that are coming that I do know I have on pre-order is, of course, the Godzilla 2000 and the Orga with his mouth all open up, where you can put the 2000 Godzilla Deforeal inside the Orga's mouth. Can't wait for that. I think at the time of recording, it is like, what, April the 9th or 10th, one or two. For what I understand, those Deforeals should be out towards the end of this month, in the next couple of weeks, so look out for those. I got the Monsterverse Mothra coming, you know what I'm saying? And I just made a pre-order yesterday for the 1974 Godzilla, which is supposedly due out in September. And I got the Rick's version of the King Caesar, which is, I think, supposed to come out in August of this year, which will bring up my Deforeal collection to 16. Once again, I never thought I would get around to getting all these figures, at least this style of a figure. But as you can see, they're great. They're fun. I know some people don't get the appeal of them. They don't get the what's so good about them, you know, whatever. Some people find them to be a distraction, which I find to be kind of funny and inaccurate in my opinion. They're a fun little line to have. You know, they're a fun deform, if you will, but still like a fun alternate take of our favorite kaiju or titans. You see what I'm saying? S-Plus have done a great job, and I can't wait for the other ones I got coming down the pipeline. As I mentioned, the 74 Godzilla King Caesar, the 2000 crew, the Monsterverse Mothra, and whatever else that may come down the pipeline from the Deforeal line. Honestly, what I want to see from the Deforeal line, I want to see a Biollante. I would love to see a Biollante Deforeal or a Gigan. Can you imagine that? A Gigan Deforeal? Either way, if they get those to us, I'm on board with those as well. But for the time being, this collection of Deforeals is awesome. I highly recommend them. There are a few that I don't have in my collection, like Hedra. I want to get Hedra. I don't have him. There's other forms of Shin Godzilla that I do want to get, but at the time of this recording, I'm perfectly fine with what I have right here. And if you have these figures in your collection, go back and admire them. You know what I'm saying? They may not be as tall or big as the Favorite Sculptors line, Sakai's or the Gigantics, but the detail is right there, and they're awesome just as much as they are. So that's pretty much it with the first size comparison with all the Deforeals I have in my collection. So let's go with the last size comparison. I'm going to bring up 3 different Godzilla incarnations that does have ties with the 98 Godzilla, and I'll explain more about that later on. As a matter of fact, let's go to that size comparison right now. Okay, folks, this is the last size comparison, and alongside the Man of the Hour, yes, the standard edition of the Deforeal 1998 Godzilla, I have 3 more 37mm X Plus Godzilla incarnations where this 98 Godzilla does have a connection with. Of course, let's start with the guy in the middle. Yes, the 1995 Yuji Sakai 30cm Godzilla, or the Burning Godzilla, or the Desugoji. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, that was the film that was made before the 98 film came in. Of course, the film afterwards, let's go with the Godzilla figure off to the Burning Godzilla's right. We have the 1999/2000 version 2 Godzilla from X Plus/Diamond Distributors. And of course, to the far left, we have the monster that fought the 98 Godzilla. Yes, the Final Wars Godzilla, the 30cm Final Wars Godzilla from Final Wars. And once again, this comparison is more so about the connection between these Godzillas versus, you know, trying to compare them as figures. Because there's a story tied in with each one of these Godzillas to the 98 Deforeal. You see what I'm saying? Of course, like I mentioned earlier, the 95 Godzilla film, Godzilla vs. Destroyer, was the film made before the 98 film. You know what I'm saying? And one of the popular theories I've heard over the years, that one of the reasons why they killed off Godzilla was to make way for the 98 Godzilla film. Don't know how true it is, but I think there may be an element of truth in that, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you have the 1999/2000 Godzilla. After the 98 film didn't really please a lot of Godzilla fans, this film, Godzilla 2000 or Godzilla 2000 Millennium or whatever, was like Toho going into full damage control. It was like, look, we cannot have that 98 film be the lasting impression for a lot of folks when it comes to Godzilla. So we got to do something. We got to whip something up really, really, really fast. Thus, in my opinion, Godzilla 2000 was born. And of course, which gave rise to the cool Millennium series. And of course, the Millennium series all ended with the explosive finale, Godzilla Final Wars, which feature a scene. Not only that, it does feature some attack scenes which for the 98 Godzilla, which does make an appearance in the film. It gave us the fight that a lot of fans were clamoring for when they saw the 98 Godzilla. When a lot of Godzilla fans, hardcore Godzilla fans, saw the 98 film, I'm sure a lot of them was like, you know what, I want the original classic Godzilla to beat down this tuna fish eating monster. And Toho kind of not kind of, they gave us that in Final Wars. You know what I'm saying? If you would have blinked, then you would have missed the fight scene, because the final scene is that brief. But it was nice that Toho was kind of getting little certain digs at the 98 film. You know what I'm saying? Even though they did co-sign on the film before it happened. But it's kind of funny when you look back on it now with this fight scene from Final Wars. Not to mention that little subtle dig at the beginning of GMK that Toho was kind of like, you know, riffing itself. You know what I'm saying? Riffing one of his most popular characters. It's nice that Toho really, at a time, didn't take things too seriously. Of course, if you're a YouTuber, you probably think differently now, but I'm getting off the beaten path here. But yeah, that's basically the story between these figures with the 98 Godzilla. There's a connection there. You know what I'm saying? A very interesting connection, if you will, between these Godzillas. So that's pretty much it with the size comparison. Yes, this is a great figure. It really is, despite the film. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of the film, let's talk about the film. And let's talk about, in my opinion, some positive things about the film and some other positive things that came out from this film being in existence. So let's go with that commentary portion of the video right now. Okay, folks, I'm back with my final thoughts of the X Plus Standard Edition of the Deforeal 1998 Godzilla. Once again, a great figure. I really do recommend this piece. Once again, despite how you feel about the film, despite how you feel about the character itself, or the artistic liberties that Sony TriStar took with the Godzilla character, once again, if you straight up hate this design, hate this film, and you can see yourself going without it, fine. That's all well and good. But if not, if you can tolerate it, and if you like it just a little bit, or even if you love it, it really is a nice piece to have in your collection. I highly recommend it, where it's the Rick board, the same, you can't go wrong with it, in my opinion. And hopefully it'll open the door for other 98 Godzilla incarnations to come down the pipeline, which I think they will do. Because I think the response to this figure, despite the hate this film gets, was really highly favorable. So I think we have not seen the last of the 1998 Godzilla as far as X Plus is concerned. Now, as far as 1998 Godzilla as a film, I know it's kind of customary. I know it's kind of like the end thing to kind of bash this film or really rag on this film or talk bad about this film. And trust me, that is very easy to do. That is very easy to do. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate in this review, or at least in this commentary portion of the video. I'm going to go in the opposite direction and tell you a few positive things that that I feel in regards to the 1998 film. Now, when I first saw this film, or at least when I first heard about this film, I never forget it. It was back in 1997. It was my second year in college, as a matter of fact. And I went and saw the film, the first Men in Black, with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones or whatever. And one of the movie trailers that they showed before the Men in Black film came on was the first trailer to the 98 Godzilla film, with the museum, the kids in the museum, the teacher, and Godzilla's foot coming down through the skylight and crushing the T-Rex skeleton, and you see Godzilla's tail glide over the museum. I was so pumped after seeing that trailer, and then at the very end it says, "Oh, by the way, it's coming next year." I was like, wow, that's kind of like a tease. I think the 2014 Godzilla film took some pages from the marketing strategy of this film, you know what I'm saying? But either way, they got me super pumped for the movie. I really didn't care about Men in Black at that point, to be honest with you. But that's the thing. I believe that the marketing for this film was actually done really well. You know what I'm saying? From the trailers, like I said, even the trailer involving, or the TV spot, I should say, involving the New Year's Eve ball drop, and you see Godzilla whack his tail on the ball, and the ball comes crashing down into people in Times Square. You know what I'm saying? That was a really, really nice TV spot and or trailer. Or the one about the fisherman in the pier, which does make the final cut of the film, and Godzilla smashes the pier, but in the trailer, he rises up and you just see his eyeball. It's just that everything about the marketing to the film, or the build up to the monster's appearance, I thought was handled really, really well. It was one of the few positive things about this film from my perspective. Even the film itself, you know what I'm saying? You see what Godzilla does to people, and you may see like a tail in one scene, or a foot in another scene, or half of his face in another scene, but you don't really get a full look at the monster, you know what I'm saying, prior to him making landfall in New York. And once again, I thought that was handled really well. Like, you really get a sense of depth, or at least the size of this thing, as it does things to other people. Like like I said, whether it's trashing the first fishing vessel in the beginning of the film, or him pulling down the 3 fishing trawls before he gets closer to America. You know what I'm saying? Just everything around the monster's everything around the build up to the monster's appearance, I thought was handled really well. It's only when you see the monster, for me, where it kind of took things on a downhill slide. After I saw it for the first time, unobstructed, you know what I'm saying, head to tail, the full monster, I was like, Mind you, I didn't hate it, but I was mildly disappointed. And then once it got to the scene involving him being pregnant, I think I kind of mentally checked out after that. But actually, you know what? Looking back on it now, I look at it like this. It's a great monster movie, or a good monster movies from the 90s. You see what I'm saying? I don't really think about Godzilla when it comes to this film, even though the film is titled Godzilla. You know what I'm saying? The only 2 things or 3 things that this version of Godzilla has in common with the original Godzilla is the nuclear tie-in radiation to its origin, the fact that it's a big, giant monster, and it has a modification of its show of war. That's pretty much it. Everything else is a complete departure. Him being pregnant, him not being able to blow fire, him just being just a giant lizard that just attaches itself to buildings and all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's those departures, I think, really turn off a lot of Godzilla fans. But looking back on it now, if you look at it as a straight monster film, it really is a good monster film, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And as I mentioned earlier, I applaud the effort. I applaud the effort. It's the execution that I find issue with. You see what I'm saying? But even aside from the film itself, those are a few things I do find positive about the film. The marketing, the build up to the monster's appearance, you looking at it as just a monster film, I think is positive. Also, I think the cartoon that came out after that, even though it happened for 1 season, the cartoon was awesome. Remember the cartoon? You know what I'm saying? Where, some characters from the film are in cartoon format, and they basically follow the last surviving baby of Godzilla, and they go around the world helping him take down other monstrous threats. It's kind of like Monarch, before there was a Monarch, if you really think about it in the cartoon. So I thought the cartoon was handled really well. And then another positive thing as a result of this film being in existence. Also, another thing, in the build up to this film coming out, they released pretty much all of the other Heisei films behind Godzilla in 1985 and Biollante on home video. You know what I'm saying? Because for a while, Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, Mechagodzilla 2, Space Godzilla, and Destroyer, you know, they were available in Japan, but they were not available on home video here in the United States. But when the '98 film came out, they decided to bring out all those movies on Sony TriStar DVD home video. So that was a good thing. Also, they released Destroy All Monsters, which was a film that really I didn't really get a chance to watch growing up. They brought that out on home video, another positive thing. You know what I'm saying? As I mentioned earlier with the 1999 Godzilla, of course, Toho was in full damage control. So they brought out, you know, the 1999 Godzilla film, which led rise to the cool Millennium films, especially GMK and blah, blah, blah. So to say that nothing positive came out as a result of this film being in existence, in my opinion, is a straight up lie. I don't think so, in my opinion. Of course, like I said, the film could have been better. They could have executed the character better. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things they could have done better, but this is what we got. But at the same time, I'm not going to jump on this bandwagon of people who subscribe to this idea that nothing good came from this film being in existence. And as I just relate a couple things off to you, as you can see, there were a few positive things. You know what I'm saying? It may not be the best Godzilla film, I will grant you that. But once again, to say that nothing good came from this film being in existence, in my opinion, is really inaccurate, in my opinion. So hopefully I can try and convince y'all, maybe give it a rewatch, you know what I'm saying? If you straight up hate it now, more likely what I just said don't mean a daggone thing to you. But hopefully, if you're on those people that's on the fence about it and really don't know what to think of it, maybe you can give it a rewatch. Or maybe you can rewatch some of the other positive things that came out for this film being in existence. Like I said, Destroy All Monsters home video, the other Heisei films home video, the cartoon, you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of great things, good things came from this film being in existence. And to like I said, to be on this bandwagon of supporters or detractors that hate this film and say nothing good came from this film, I think it's a step in the wrong direction. But hopefully I can convince y'all to go back and rewatch this film and have a good time with it and just look at it as a straight up monster film, and I think you will enjoy it. But aside from that, this is a great figure. It really is. I highly do recommend it. And if you can find one for a good price, you would not be disappointed with the standard or the Rit Boy. Trust me when I say that. So that's what concludes my review of the X Plus Standard Edition of the Deforeal 1998 Godzilla, based off his appearance in the famous or infamous film, depending on who you talk to, Godzilla film from 1998. Godzilla from Sony TriStar, excuse me. If you have any questions, comment me down in the comment section. Hit on Facebook via Leslie P. Chambers, but definitely go from there. Yes, once again, a cool figure. It really is. And as I mentioned earlier, hopefully it'll open the door for other 1998 Godzilla figures coming from X Plus, you know what I mean? Like I said, 25 or 30 or gigantic. Either way, if they were to come out with either one of those designs in those lines, then I would definitely go after it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a great step in the right direction. Like I mentioned with the 74 Godzilla Deforeal that just got announced and is up for pre-order right now, a lot of folks are really unhappy about that because they were like, okay, of all the Godzilla designs that we have yet to see come from X Plus, the 74 has been the most sought after, requested, wanted, or whatever, and they chose to go into the Deforeal line. And I look at it like this: at least we're getting something. You know what I'm saying? At least we're getting something. It's the door that, you know, that they opened so it could give rise to other, you know, figures coming from the lines based off this particular design. This is living proof of that. Because like I mentioned, I don't think we've seen the last of the 98 Godzilla when it comes to X Plus. And as with the 74, trust me, they're not going to make just the 74 in the Deforeal line and not do anything else. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully I can convince y'all of that. But trust me, if you want a great quality piece of the 98 Godzilla, you can't go wrong with this figure. But it's the Rit Boy, the standard. Trust me when I say that. Lots of stuff is coming here on the channel. As a matter of fact, stay tuned to the end of the video and you'll see what is coming up absolutely next on Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. I hope you enjoy that. Not to mention my duties on Collect All Monsters. Our newest episode is in a couple of weeks. I believe it's April 18th. I think it's going to be a Q&A episode. You know what I'm saying? And I do have a lot of figure reviews. Once again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm backed up on projects. But I'm refocused now, and I'm going to try and get more videos out to you as soon as possible. So hopefully y'all will enjoy that. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Thank you still for hanging there with me. Even after I put my last video, my subscriber count is still getting higher. So thank you so much, even though I'm not putting out a video every single week or every single day. Thank you for still being there for me and subscribing to me. And I really do appreciate it. I really, really do. And I'll repay y'all by giving y'all great content between this channel and Collect All Monsters. And hopefully y'all will enjoy that. But in the meantime, get this figure. Get the 98 Godzilla Deforeal Standard or Rip Boy Edition from X Plus. You will not be disappointed. Yes, yes, yes. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all again on this figure move review. All right? Y'all take it easy and eat some tuna fish. All right, take it easy.